from this. Welcome everyone to the Lazy Lab podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kachera. With me today, very special guest. We got Mike Ergo. He is Iron Mike in my eyes from the Transitions of War podcast. Very, very, very good buddy and someone whom I love to sit down and chat with. So I'm excited for you, audience, to get to know Mike. Mike, how you been, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. And it's nice to be able to talk to you again, man. I forget how long it's been, but it's been too long, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely been too long, brother. I when I saw this on the calendar, I was like, yes, like, let's go. We get to have a good time. Folks, Mike's got a great story, one that is inspiring to say the least. And it's very, very, it's very, very cool that he gets to share that with you today. You get to know a little bit about that. And Mike, I don't know where you want to pick it up. Mike was in the Marine Corps, Marine for life. I don't think you ever leave the Marine Corps. The Corps never leaves you, or however you guys put that. But
right.
Mike was in the Marine Corps. Mike got out of the Marine Corps and found himself a little bit lost and needed to find his way. And it's really cool. I don't know if you want to start from a little bit of your service in the Marine Corps. Do you want to go right into like how you kind of got your butt kicked and back into gear through friends and family?
Well, I joined the Marine Corps spring of 2001, and I originally joined to be in the band, Cue Laughter, and everyone was laughed at that, and I was okay with it. And then 9/11 happened, and eventually I decided I'd rather be in the infantry. It was a better fit for me, and so I made that switch. And my people were happy to let me leave the band to go to the infantry. And so did a couple tours in Iraq, and second tours was pretty rough. We fought in the second Battle of Fallujah in November 2004, and my unit lost 21 Marines, and it's pretty devastating for me. And it took a long time, and still, in some ways, I'm still processing that battle. I was in combat there for about a month straight, and it was a bit rough. And so I got out 2005 and took to the time-honored military tradition of drinking too much, and proceeded to just try that out until it didn't work, and then continued doing that until it worked worse and worse and worse, until my wife let me know that she couldn't go down that road with me. And she said I had to make a choice of either her or the booze and the drugs. And, it was a hard choice for me. I mean, I knew I loved my wife more, but I was still afraid because, in particular, alcohol and cannabis were the two things that really helped me just relax. I was constantly having flashbacks or intrusive thoughts, nightmares, and it sucked.
That took the edge off, right? So you're self-medicating essentially to cope and survive.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't know when to stop. And, I'm not a everybody should be sober kind of person. I'm just a complete boot when it comes to drinking and using cannabis. So it's not for me. So I stopped, and, I needed something to take the place of what those chemicals were doing for me. And I started to harness my endogenous dopamine and serotonin by running. And I had this friend who gave me a registration to a half marathon for my birthday present. And it's the most original birthday present I've gotten. And at first I was kind of like, why would you do this? I have to do more work for this present. Like it's, right.
This is my favorite, just for the audience. Like, this is my favorite part of the turnaround, right? I am so happy. Let me just preface this with I am so happy that your wife was there to be your check to reality and bring you back to a better place, as a wife should be, right? But man, I love this gift that your friend gave you, because
isn't it cool? Yeah,
it's cool, but it's so messed up. I'm in your shoes, just like I'm sure many others would be. A half marathon for a present. This is okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you very much.
So he was able to, harness my ego, and I was like, I can't, wimp out. I got to do this. And so I started running and training, and really rough at first. Like anybody knows who's started out working out after a long hiatus from it, it hurts the first week and a half, 2 weeks. And, but I remember this certain part of this run, specific run. I was going around the corner in this one neighborhood, and all of a sudden I just noticed that I felt great. I felt good.
Yeah.
Like I felt relaxed. I didn't feel like I was about to die, which is the constant companion, of PTSD, is that impending doom feeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, there's something to this running, and so I started to enjoy not just the race, but the training, and ran the race, loved it. I was like, I got to do more of these things. And eventually, got into open water swimming in San Francisco Bay. Again, I had there's a Vietnam vet who basically dared me to do this challenge with him of swimming from Alcatraz Island in the middle of the bay to San Francisco proper, and a little over a mile, like a mile, 1.3 miles. And so I trained
Wow.
up that, loved it, loved the cold water. I mean, I was able to find my breath, find my rhythm, just kind of be exactly in that situation, because I spent so much of my life like wishing I was somewhere else where it just was unacceptable to be in my own skin. And I was like, I actually like being here. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. You
Yeah.
find yourself like, do you get the same thing? And I don't know, like look, I am admittedly horrible in the water. Like I just swam today. I ran 3 miles and then I jumped in the pool and did another 2,000 meters. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like slow, like a manatee, but not
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah.
So more like a
Yeah.
dying manatee. That was me in the water. And it was just, I find it difficult to get to the same high that I do when I'm running, where I get to that
Yeah.
point where I flip a switch and I'm like, okay, this pace is locked in. My breathing and my cadence are in rhythm together, and like everything's loose, and like the jaws going up and down like I'm a racehorse. Like I get in a good
Yeah.
place
Uh-huh.
when I'm running, but when I'm swimming, I feel tense. I feel awkward. Do you get
Yeah.
that? Do you get to that same place?
Yeah. I can't, it's different. The runner's high is more of an like being overjoyed. Like everyone who's got the runner's high knows what's that like. It's a higher energy kind of body, like high experience. And swimming for me and a lot of the swimmers I talk to, feel just a complete calm, like a Zen kind
Yeah.
of calm afterwards, where you could just sit and watch people, sit on your front step and watch people go by and just look at the leaves and the trees, and that would be perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so it's
Oh, that's
different in
cool.
that way. Yeah, it's really cool. I remember specifically after one cold water swim, I think especially cold water, because you get those endorphins after, is I just remember sitting and like, I'm exactly where I need to be, like exactly. And I was like, this is a
Yeah.
unique experience right here. So
No, it's really neat.
yeah,
With open water swimming, uh, what is it that is like most difficult about that? I would imagine, there's sort of the feeling of, okay, well, there's no walls, there's nowhere for me to
yeah.
like escape if I get tired. But there's also probably, you know, the disruption in the surface, right? So as you've got
Hmm.
this uneven surface that you're constantly contending with, which probably keeps your core pretty heavily engaged.
Yeah, you got to be able to breathe on both sides. And so, because if you're
Okay.
taking waves on one side, you're gonna, you can get slapped in the face with some water. So it pays to be able to breathe on the other side too. And you also have to be able to sight. So every few strokes, or maybe every 6 strokes or so, you kind of look up as you're swimming and be able to see, okay, I'm on line, or I need to adjust a little bit. So,
Okay.
and then because you don't have that line at the bottom of the pool to guide you. So
Right.
I think those are the two big things. And then I think people can get overwhelmed with the unknown beneath you, unless you are in like Hawaii, where you can see for, 100 feet in every, or 100 meters in every direction.
Yeah.
A lot of times the water's murky. So people have, these horror fantasies of like, dead bodies like floating up and like grabbing them and stuff, and sharks and all that.
Sharks. Yeah, I was gonna say sharks, man. Like if you talk about I think we talked about this before. Like San Francisco is no stranger to like seals and stuff like that, right? Sea lions
Oh yeah.
and so that naturally attracts their next step up in the food chain, which is sharks and orcas. I would imagine maybe every now and
Hmm.
again find their way in there. Um, that's got to be a little bit sketchy. Like it's got to play in your mind a little bit, or you just forget it altogether and you go. Like I don't. How's that? How's that
You know,
play out?
during like a race, like I just finished the Escape from Alcatraz triathlon, and it was, swimming from Alcatraz to the shore of San Francisco, about a mile and a half. And I thought, like, yeah, I could get bitten, but I was more focused on like getting the swim completed and just being
Yeah.
right there with my breath in the right here, right now. So I did. Fortunately, I've always been very comfortable in the water, and I know it's just, naturally came to me. I have had one experience because I free dive a lot, and
Oh,
I had
really? I
one
didn't know that.
experience where, yeah, yeah. So I spearfish and free dive. So I was
Right on.
outside of this reef in Northern California here, and the water got pretty deep. It dropped off pretty quickly down to like 60, 70 feet maybe, and I just got the hairs in the back of my neck went up, and I just felt like something's not right here. And I was like, I'm gonna swim in just a little bit, because where I am, something feels very wrong. And so I've had that spidey sense once. So
Oh,
I was like, I'm
it's a
gonna
good
go
thing
ahead
you
and listen to
listened to
this.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever find did you ever put eyes on or acquire a
Never
target
put eyes
or anything?
on. Yeah,
Dang.
because I mean, it's limited viz, and great
Yeah.
whites especially are good at staying just out of visibility for most creatures, and so they can sense people's, I think, heartbeats, and sense people and animals like through, um, I think they're like their nostrils, but they can tell
Yeah.
if people things are there, so they'll wait until the last minute and then run up and swim up and get you. So
And they attack
um,
up, right? They're
yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's not cool.
yeah, exactly. Seen some great
um,
footage of like seagulls on the surface just getting chomped up by
just
a
gone.
shark.
Yeah, sharks airborne. It's
Yeah,
it's a crazy sight to see. Man, the amount of power that animal has is just amazing. Um,
yeah.
Definitely worthy of a lot of space and respect. That's for sure.
Oh, completely. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how'd you
So,
do in that Alcatraz triathlon? I know the
mhm.
last time we talked, right, it was like COVID it was in its peak and events were canceled and you were fundraising for Ironman competitions for
Mhm.
Gold Star families. So
Yeah.
I know that threw a little hitch in the giddy up there with the pandemic. But I'd like to know one how you did to the first question, right? How you did in the Alcatraz triathlon, but also how's that whole Ironman Foundation stuff working out now?
Yeah. Yeah. So Escape from Alcatraz triathlon was awesome. It was, I mean, the swim was relatively warm for the bay. It was 62 degrees, which is compared to like low 50s is great. I actually was
Yeah.
overheating a little bit in my wetsuit, so I was kind of flushing cold water in, but um, it went off great. I actually, the bike ride was 18 miles after that through the hills of San Francisco. So it was difficult, definitely difficult.
Yeah.
And then there's 8 mile run along the beach and dirt trails, near the Golden Gate. So, and I carried a flag for, an Army combat medic who came back and ended up losing his battle with PTSD and taking his own life. And carried the flag for him, for his family and in memory of him, a guy named by the name of Sergeant Ray Burnside from Santa Rosa, California.
Yeah.
And it was, the meaning of that was great. And so you think of San Francisco, and obviously, a lot of stereotypes come out, like, people walking around with dreadlocks and no shoes, and um, definitely a pretty liberal city. But you would be surprised how many vets were doing this race, because it attracts crazy people, vets.
Yeah.
And so there's so many times where I was running and somebody would stop, dead run, and stop and like salute the flag as I was going by. And it was
Wow.
cool to notice just how much respect and how much, it meant to people that the flag was being carried in honor of a veteran. So it
Yeah, yeah.
gave me goosebumps. It's perfect race. And so it was I didn't place, but I came in first out of people carrying flags. So I saw one other guy carrying a flag, and I beat him. So
I
that
love
feels
that.
good.
I love
Yeah,
that. That's the silver line. That's came in first. People
yeah,
carry flags. That's awesome. And what a
yeah,
noble cause, right? Like placing in the race is not um, nearly as memorable or monumental as the I'm sure what it meant to the family
yeah,
of the service member, right? That's really what stands out about what you do is I know that there's a personal endeavor there to be as good as you can be to best previous times and previous
hmm,
performances and to try and place and the competitive instinct kicks in, right? And you want to
yeah,
do great, but at the same time, like you are just in your pursuit of finishing those races. Those families really get a sense of pride and it gives an extended value to their loved one. You know what I mean? Like this,
yeah, uh-huh.
this person meant something to people other than just us. And
Yes, that's
I think
exactly
that's
it.
important. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
So kudos.
well, thanks, man. I mean, it feels really good. I love doing it. It's this cool mix of service to other people with something I love. Like I always
Right,
pictured service or duty having to be like something miserable, like a deployment or like
right. Sacrifice, right?
picking up.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like service or duty was picking up cigarette butts in the quad, at the barracks.
right,
It's like so it's like it's got to be miserable, but then that's the Marine in me. But then I was like, oh, it can be fun too. So
right.
you know,
No,
good
it
segue into
can.
the yeah, it can, and that was such a novel concept to me. So doing the Gold Star Initiative with Ironman has been a lot of fun. And like you said, yeah, COVID threw a wrench. We didn't have any races last year, um, and I've been training for the World Championship, and it got pushed back again. So it's been delayed now a year and a half. It'll
Jeez.
hopefully happen in February 2022, which will be fun because again, I'll be carrying the flag there for a whole marathon as part of a full Ironman. Um,
And how
so
many full
that
Ironman races have you done?
I've done 4 full Ironman, so this will be my 5th one.
Wow.
Yeah,
All of
and
them with the Gold Star Initiative?
no, let's see, the last 2 were,
Okay.
um, yeah, and the last 2 I've carried flags for, and last time the World Championship at Kona, I got to carry the Marine Corps flag, like the last mile.
Yeah.
It kind of like sparked some ideas in my mind, but it's a it's really cool because this past July I got to race a half Ironman in Ohio, just outside of Columbus, and carry it for my best friend, the guy who really inspired me to do great things. His name was Todd Godwin, and he was from Zanesville, Ohio, and I got to bring his family out, um, bring them out, and show them like, yeah, like a lot of people, not just me, still remember him. I want you to know he's not forgotten, and just
Yeah.
to see how much that meant to them, and be able to you know, give them the flag at the finish line. It's just, I get goosebumps every time I talk about this stuff because it's so fun. It means so much. Um, so that race got to happen, and that was cool.
Yeah. No, that's super cool, man. And that's awesome. You got to honor Todd for his family like that. It's 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 special. Like to your point, I want to kind of go back to like it doesn't have to be service doesn't have to be miserable. Like
Yeah.
if you can find a way to tie honoring folks to the things that to doing something that you love, I think that there's a lot of power and meaning in that. That's
Hmm.
it's exactly what Lazy Lab is, right? Is we
Yes.
tie, Matt and DJ found a way to tie hunting and fishing, which they love and grew up doing, to helping veterans through outdoor
Hmm.
therapy, and it's just it's extending service, and that is such a huge, and if you want, we can get to like your work with the VA and stuff. Like extending service is such a huge part of transition from military life,
Yeah.
because you instantly, when you take the uniform off, you're looking for your next mission. It's like
Yeah.
instinctive, drilled into you, and you're looking for ways to serve. You is really what that boils down to. So um, why not do that doing something you love to do? It's
Oh yeah.
so it's perfect, man. And I love that connection between the two, like what you're doing with the races, what we do with with the hunting and fishing trips.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's been eye opening for me, man. I got to tell you, like, yeah, being able to serve through Lazy Lab versus Vet Pivot, which is like my own thing. Like I was like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can walk away from Vet Pivot and I can start doing this for Lazy Lab, no problem. Feel great about it, and I still get to talk to awesome people, but I'm serving veterans in in a better organization, like a it's like it's so much fun, man. I don't know. Did you grow up
Yeah.
hunting and fishing?
I grew up fishing a little bit with my dad.
Okay.
Have yet to go hunting, but the closest thing I've done to that is spear fishing. So yeah, shooting fish underwater.
That's awesome.
But
You're
I,
that's hunting. I don't know why they
yeah,
call it
yeah,
fishing. It's still hunting.
it is. It really is hunting. It's been cool though. This last year and a half, I've really picked up. The last couple of years, really picked up ocean fishing and bass fishing. So I can attest to the power of the water and being out there to heal. It's
Yeah.
really cool because I can take my own kids and they enjoy doing that with me and teach them about where we get our food and have a good time doing that.
No, I love that, man. It kind of goes back to what you're saying. Like when you get out of an open water swim, you get done with that, you're almost in this like calms and like feeling.
Yeah.
You feel like you're exactly where you're supposed to be. There's some perspective gained when you're in these large open environments, and I've
Hmm.
talked about it many times on this show before. When you're hunting and you're just out in God's nature, it's like, holy smokes, I am a grain of sand out here, like it
Yeah.
really it really puts things in a different light and allows you to gain a perspective that you otherwise wouldn't have, especially in like this era right now where everyone's isolating more and keeping
Hmm.
their distance from other people, and it's tough. It's really tough, and I really encourage folks to find that outdoor type therapy that you can at least get some fresh air, a little bit of exercise, the endorphins, everything you're taking
Yeah.
in. Your senses are on overload with all this different stuff that you're not usually around in your environment, and it's powerful. It really does. It can have a very changing impact on your outlook.
I was thinking about exactly why that is, and one, it's fun. It's part of our primal nature to do these things, to hunt and gather. And the other reason is I think that especially for people coming back with PTSD or with grief, these experiences take us outside of our body. Like for me, I was
Yeah.
always outside of my body because I was living in the past, constantly caught up in memories and just physiological responses in my body. But when you're hunting or you're fishing, you're so tuned into your environment. You're there with every
Yes.
single footstep and breath. And so it helps you get in your body in a safe context. And I think that's essentially what I do with people for work. That's what I do for myself. That's what I do with people, through Ironman. So important.
I could not agree more, man. I find myself seeking like activities and things I can do to be mentally and physically isolated to a task, to trying to progress in something. And so I've started doing, I don't know if you can hear my dogs going nuts.
All good.
I started doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu back in March. I was
Nice.
just like looking for something. I was like, I need to exercise. I need some sort of pursuit, something to like accelerate my sense of like personal development, because I wasn't actively doing school at the time and all this stuff. So I was like, oh, let me use a shot, dude. I'm hooked. totally
Yeah.
hooked. Like it's it's like an hour of my day that I just am singularly focused,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of clarity that I leave there with is amazing. You know, it's exactly what you said, because you are focused on every, you know, every grip, every, you know, every maneuver, every tactic that I try to take, you know, and defense that I try to play. Just literally, you do not have the ability to think about anything else. And so when you leave there, you are in a better space because you have this clarity of mind. And it may only
Mm-hmm.
last for like 30 minutes and then you get home and it's all it's all gone. But in that hour, like, you have peace of mind.
Oh, exactly. I'm also thinking about the felt sense, just like for fishing, I can relate, and I can relate, when I did jujitsu, was that, you have to not just see things, but you have to know the feel of it.
Yeah.
Like when you have a fish on the line, you have to know when to set the hook. Um, when I'm crab snaring, I have to know exactly how to set the snare. So I'll reel one of those bad boys in, and so it's that feeling that you develop, that body knowledge, and that sense is so cool to hone. And I don't think we
Yeah.
get as many opportunities doing that, through, I mean, you don't get it through watching TV, you don't get it watching, looking at a computer. So exactly, BJJ, fishing, hunting, excellent ways to do that.
I'm telling you, man. I when even and we have an event coming up. So like in 2 weeks, I'll be in Ohio for um, our premier whitetail hunt that we do every year. And I was there last year, and I got my first deer.
Nice.
So going again this year. Very excited about it. Uh, but it was like my first time hunting. It was my very first time hunting. It's not a spot and stock type hunt, right? This is
Yeah.
like tree stand type hunting, right? And that's fine. I like first time out, probably not going to be good at spot and stock. So I went, and I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
remember sitting there thinking like how cool it was, the conversation between the fellas in the stand. Like there were three of us up there, like the guide and myself and a hunter. And we're talking, it's like early morning. It's dark still, like sun hasn't even come up yet. It's early morning. We drank our coffee, we, get some energy about us. And like, we probably had small talk for like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And then it just kind of stopped. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't like it awkwardly ended. It just
Mm-hmm.
kind of got
Mm-hmm.
quiet. And you could feel this peace come over the stand where all three of us just kind of were calm. It was like you're just taking in, like, and then just at that same time, the sun starts to peak over the hill, and
Yeah.
and you start to get this glow of like the early morning sunrise, and you see, animals starting to scurry about and do their thing, go about their daily routines, and it was very, very peaceful and awe-inspiring. And it was that exact moment, that first time in the stand, where I realized like this is a really good thing. You know what I mean? Like this
Mm-hmm.
this is a really powerful thing that is before me right now, and I want to share this with people. How can I do that? It's just like all these thoughts going
Yes.
through my head. You know what I mean? Like, how do I've never been a selfish kind of person where I'm like, I'm just going to keep this like, no, I want to share this. Like, how many veterans can I tell about this? You know what I mean? It's just been one of those things, and I've been on that journey ever since. And I think that I see a lot of that in your pursuits with the Ironman stuff and the triathlon events. Like you you definitely go above and beyond trying to share that, and you have not made it about Mike's journey. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Right.
it's a shared journey, and I think that there's a lot of respect for that, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. What started out as doing it as a one-time thing, carrying a flag for a single Gold Star family, um, has become something that we're doing throughout Ironman races. A bunch of them each year, and other people get to carry the flag.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
that's
cool
cool.
thing is seeing, veterans. we come back a lot of times with the feeling of maybe I didn't do enough, which is just kind of part of being of service. A lot of us might second guess like, oh, I could have done more, no matter how many tours you did or how
Yeah.
much you contributed. And there's a lot of us come back with survivor's guilt too. And, maybe grieving friends we lost. And the other part of it is that I realized Gold Star families were going through a very similar, journey of grief, obviously losing someone in their family. And what I noticed too, talking to some Gold Star families, was that, they get an initial burst of support around the funeral. And then
Yeah.
afterwards it dies out and people start avoiding them because they don't know what to do. They're uncomfortable. And it's like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to say to them. So the one Gold Star mom was saying she saw somebody she knew, recognized her in the store, and just kind of turned the other way. And so now you
Oh,
lose your family member and you're getting shunned by your community, which is kind of like getting brushed off. And so
yeah.
I realized we needed to connect not only veterans and Gold Star families to talk, but also the community. And so we've been able to connect it through the race day community and the local community. So
Oh,
that
that's awesome.
kind of trifecta is really cool to see happen.
No, that's really cool. Now, what is the event in February the next big one? And then also, how many other folks do you have carrying flags now? Like, how's it expanded?
Yeah. So we moved from having just one race that I did to having 4 races a couple of years ago to this year having 8 races. So you got 7 other
Wow.
people carrying flags, and then and hopefully growing more next year. It's something that, like I want it to be at every race, but I also want it to be done right. So to scale has been, a challenge. Like I want to get it right before I want it to expand. So,
Right.
um, and then, yeah, to answer your other question, yes, the World Championships is in February, and that's the next big one. So, for people unfamiliar with the distances, it's the Ironman distance. Ironman triathlon will consist of a 2.4 mile swim in the ocean, and then a 112-mile bike ride, and then a 26.2-mile run, so a marathon,
Jeez.
all back to back. Um,
How
yeah,
long does it
so
take you to do that?
the last one I did took me just over 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
so
folks,
it's
just imagine like, a really long work day.
yeah, yeah,
And Mike's exercising that entire time. Okay,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
what that is. I would
Yeah,
imagine I've always heard with like triathlons and Ironman, like the bike is the most dangerous element because it's where the body can like go into rest, right? And you can
yes,
start like get tunnel vision, or you can actually fight like people have fallen asleep at the wheel and hurt
yeah.
themselves falling off the bike. Is that something? How do you combat that? And um, has that happened to you before?
I've started to drift off, yeah, and found myself, hitting the rumble strip on the side of the road. I actually saw a guy at my third Ironman. He must have fallen asleep because his wheel just turned and he flipped over and his bike flipped over him and he got his bell rung. His race was over just
Wow.
in front of me. So it happens. It definitely
Yeah.
happens because you're doing that for, if you're me, about 6 hours. You're riding a bike for 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so
That's
what I
crazy.
usually do is like I'll have thought experiments. Like all kinds of things will come to me. The most random things, like I used to try to pick the songs I wanted to sing in my head, but sometimes I'd get things like Let It Go from Frozen stuck in my head, courtesy of my daughter, and so I sang that for like 80 miles.
It's a great tune.
And I was like, well,
80
here it
miles.
is. Yeah, here it is. I guess I'm singing this now. I remember one time I actually started like picking apart the movie The Wedding Singer. I was like, why do you think this movie would hold up if I watched it today? And I went through the movie like bit by bit. I'm like, yeah, I think it would. How that came to my brain, I have no idea, but it did. And so I was like, oh, I guess I'll go with this.
That is awesome. So I gotta ask too, like, what do you do with the flag when you're swimming?
Yeah, so the flag will be, with the family while I'm swimming and while I'm on the bike. And then when the second transition, when I'm getting off the bike and I've changed into my running gear and I'm about to start the run, I'll meet the family on the side, or the athlete will meet the family on the side, and the family will hand the veteran the flag, and that's symbolic of them placing their trust in that veteran to carry the memory, and honor their loved one. And so it's a fun way to, well, it's fun, but it's very meaningful, very symbolic. So like
Yeah.
I tell people when I accept a flag from them, I'm like, I'm accepting this as your trust in me to carry your son's name and make sure he's not forgotten. And then I'll go off on that run for a while, and be able to return that back to him was great. I actually got to wear Todd's dog tags that his dad wears every single day of his life.
Oh,
So he let me
wow.
wear those for the race, and I gave those back to him, at the finish line too.
Gosh.
Um, it's just such a cool feeling, such a cool
Yeah.
feeling. Like I'm hooked on it because
Yeah.
you see people who are sad and hurting, and it's like I feel so powerless because like I can't bring their son or daughter back. I can't go back in time and save them. But what I can do is things like this, just acts of
Yeah.
service.
Just give a little extra meaning to what happened.
Hmm.
Like the not forgottenness is like the biggest thing. I think what you alluded to, like they feel like probably like how a lot of service members feel, right? Where it's
Hmm.
the survivor's guilt, like you were saying, where you're not tied to the military anymore beyond the funeral. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, like no, but you are like yeah, like you gave up your son or daughter to die for this country. Um,
Yeah.
that sacrifice is not forgotten at all, right? And that's a message that you're keeping alive, and I think that's awesome, man. You get off the bike after like 6 hours and goofy thought experiments and stuff like that. Like you get the
Yeah.
jello legs. How do you run a marathon after you get off a bike for 6 hours?
There's slightly different muscles. Um,
Okay.
like especially with the triathlon bike, because you're positioned forward, and you're using slightly different muscles. But I think you train to have um, your legs before they feel like jello, they feel like bricks. So
Okay.
we have these things called brick workouts, and that's simply doing a run after a bike ride. And so you get off the bike and your legs feel like bricks, and so you kind of shake it out over the first couple miles and just
Yeah.
settle into it. So it's just a learned, felt sense of like, oh, this is what it's like to ride a bike and then run. Um,
Any thoughts of going more extreme with the distances?
there has been, yeah. I've thought about doing the Ultraman, which is, I don't know how many times longer than an Ironman it is, but it takes place over 3 days. It's like you swim for
Wow.
6 miles and ride, I don't know, a lot the first day. And then the second day, you just ride 100 and something miles, or maybe 200 miles. And the last day, you run 52 miles. But the thing is with that stuff is that I realize that I have a propensity to be addicted to things. And like I found with the chemicals I was taking into my body, and I realized, okay, maybe this is something that I can pursue a little later in life. But right now, I think after I do this Ironman in February, I'll step down probably to the half Ironman distance, just because I really enjoy being a father. I really enjoy taking
Yeah.
my kids out fishing, going to soccer and baseball games, and just playing with them. And so while they're this age, I know I can. The cool thing about endurance sports is you can do it for a long time.
Right.
You know, I see people in their 60s and 70s doing this stuff. And so like when they're grown, maybe in high school or out of the house, I'll be able to come back to this and do as much as I want to,
Yeah.
so
100%, man.
yeah.
It's yeah, you only get like you're literally on an expiration clock, when it comes to
Yeah.
being a father, you know what I mean? And those moments where they're young and impressionable and just goofy, they're
Oh yeah.
dwindling day by day, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's really from everyone I talk to, it's like a race to the teens, and then once they get in their teens, they're really like don't want much to do because
Yeah, yeah,
you know. So
exactly.
it's like, okay, I got, I have like, I don't know, 11 more years with my kids before
Yeah.
that becomes a thing. So let me just soak it up.
Hmm.
So no one can fault you for that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Uh,
Thanks.
you you fundraise for these things as well. Where are you in the fundraising efforts for transitions or for the Gold Star Initiative?
I'm doing pretty well. So I had a fundraising goal of $30,000.
Okay.
So actually, I made it $31,000 just so I could see if I could push myself a little farther than that. And right now, I'm at just shy of $25,000. So
Nice.
yeah, people have come up really big, which is great because I try to convey, what it means to the families and what it means to veterans, and to let people know it's like it's not money that I take to use for myself. Um, it covers my race entry, but other than that, I buy my own plane tickets and hotels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But just to know it goes towards families who get to know that their child is still alive in people's hearts, is great. And I think I've been so excited about how powerful that message is and how much has resonated with people across the country.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah, I love that. And where can people, if they want to donate, where do they go?
I've got a short link, and it's bit.ly/Mike, the number 2 Kona. So I'll send that over to you. Maybe it's in the show notes here.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll put it in the show notes for sure.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. I enjoy, be able to raise the money. But what's really cool is just to know, I let everybody who donates know that, like, yeah, I'm the one out there swimming, biking, and running, but it's a team effort. And I have hundreds of people now on the same team, all contributed. Like when I hand the flag to that family,
Yeah.
everybody who donates has a part in that. It's a group thing. So it's really cool to know I have a big team with me.
It'd be really neat. I don't know, maybe you do this already. It'd be really neat if those like contributors were able to like leave a message. You know what I mean? Like if they were able to like
Mm,
do
yeah.
like a quick video clip or like write in a message or something, or maybe both or one or the other, but like something. So you hand the
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you're handing the flag in, but you can also hand them like this, hey, here's a flash drive. Check it out. You're gonna
Yes.
love
I
this.
love
I
that
think
idea.
that'd be really cool. I think, and something that they could hold on to. I would imagine, like, you know, um, I don't know. Now my wheels are spinning. Now I'm on the 6 hour bike ride, and I'm just thinking, I got
Exactly.
the I got the thought juices going here. You podcast too, right? So
Uh-huh.
you have two podcasts, I thought, right? You have Transitions from War,
Yeah.
and you have another one that's around um, the folks that swim, right? Like,
Yeah, we do one called Ginger and Chocolate. So I'm the ginger, and my African American friend, Lindsay, is the chocolate. And so yeah,
that's
we
awesome.
it's a great pot. It's so fun. So we talk about the intersection just of mental health and physical health,
Okay.
for all athletes. And so I've been doing that with her for a couple of years now, and I've been doing Transitions from War, um, with my buddy Rich for a few years now. So yeah, it's fun to be able to branch out and do both of those.
Now, how do you find the time to train, to do two podcasts, to have kids that are young, to have a
Yeah,
job? Like,
yeah.
how do you where you find it? Your wife must be the glue of everything for your
Oh,
family.
she completely is. No, she
Yeah,
is such a good mother and such a good wife. She's a good person in general. But it's like Kobe Bryant said, man, it's all about that 4 a.m. That's where it
it's
gets done.
it is it's where it gets done for a madman.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm lucky I have this dachshund, lucky in the sense that it helps me get up, but I have this dachshund. So around 3:30, 3:40, this little wiener dog is licking me in the face, like, get up and feed me, get up and feed me. And I try to push the little thing away, and I'll run back and just start licking me in the face, and because he knows I'll eventually get up. And then like, well, now I'm up. All right, let's go.
That is the least Iron Man dog of all time. I got it.
I know. I also do have a big lazy lab. He's laying on the couch behind me, but
there you go.
Yeah. So, but the Bruno, the wiener dog, is like the alpha, the boss dog of the house. So
that's how it always works, man. It's the small dogs are always like the boss, you know?
Yeah.
I don't get it. But it's definitely that way. His name's Bruno.
Yeah, his name's Bruno. Bruno runs things, man. He runs it.
I love that, man. Well, listen, this has been amazing to capture, your story for the audience for Lazy Lab podcast. And I just give you a little moment here to tell everyone where they can connect with you and interact more if they enjoy what they heard.
Yeah. You can check out transitionsformore.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I post mostly on Instagram. It's just transitions_from_war, or you can search my name, Mike Ergo, on there. And that's where I mostly am. So I take pictures of training and of fishing with my kids and my dog. So that's what I'm about.
I love that, man. That's awesome. So check them out, transitions_from_war on Instagram, or you can go to transitionsformore.com. This is Mike Ergo, everyone. I mean, an amazing thing that he is doing with the triathlons and the Gold Star Initiative, and I mean, God bless him for even tackling an Ironman. Holy smokes! Definitely not something that I think I could hold up for. It's the water part, that's really what it is. You get brick legs when you get off the bike. I'm like brick in water. I sink. My family makes fun of me because if I lay on my back, I can't float. And it was traumatizing. My 11-year-old this summer just mocking me relentlessly. Every day I get off work and I go out to the backyard, they all be in the pool. My son would be on his back like, Dad, look what I'm doing. He's found that one thing,
that's good.
He does better than me, and he's going to hold on to that for probably his whole life.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone, especially want to thank our sponsors, Eubora Coffee Roasters. It's a veteran-owned coffee company. There's very, very good coffee. They caffeinate our hunts. They caffeinate our lives here at the Lazy Lab side of the house. So go check them out, Eubora Coffee Roasters. And thank you again, Mike, for being part of the show. Everyone, please, 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 please stay safe. Be good. Until next time, God bless. You are all dismissed.
Good.